Another Brick fan with a BrickHeadz set. This is the Battle of Endor Heroes. This is set 40623. It was released in May 2023. It has 549 pieces and cost about $40 when it was released. As you can see, it has 5 BrickHeadz. 2 of them are kind of the half-size BrickHeadz, so the $40 price point is spot on for BrickHeadz. We'll get into value here in a little bit. This is one of 3 5-packs of BrickHeadz that have been released. They did the Spice Girls, which obviously had all 5 Spice Girls in it. I reviewed that last year. There's a link up here for you. And then this year, just in March, they released a 5-pack of Harry Potter BrickHeadz, which I'll be reviewing tomorrow. So this one includes Luke Skywalker, R2-D2, Lando Calrissian, Wicket, and Princess Leia. So this is definitely themed around Endor in Star Wars Return of the Jedi. I think I would have really liked to have seen R2-D2 or Han Solo in this set. I mean, I like Lando Calrissian, and I think it's a good-looking BrickHead, as we'll get into in a little bit. But he wasn't on the Endor moon. He was out in outer space. So it would have been maybe cooler to have 2 different sets. If you wanted to get all of the ones that were actually on the Endor moon, you would have need to add C-3PO, Han Solo, and Chewbacca. Now, of course, we've already gotten a Han Solo and a Chewbacca BrickHead in the past. For that matter, we've gotten a Luke in the past. And a Princess Leia in the past. So it's not like they wouldn't be redoing other BrickHeadz. Anyway, let's go ahead and build these BrickHeadz up really quick, and then we will take a closer look at them. Here are the 5 finished BrickHeadz. I think they all turned out really nicely. As you can see, these 2 here, R2-D2 and Wicket, one of the Ewoks, are smaller. I would call these like the half size. So they're basically a 3x3 base, whereas the regular size BrickHeadz are a 4x4 base. So they're a little bit smaller. Let's go ahead and take a close look at each one of these. First up, let's look at Luke Skywalker. I think this is a very good representation of Luke. He's got, of course, his black outfit on that he was wearing during Return of the Jedi, where he's kind of risen to a full Jedi status, I suppose. Still interesting what that timeline is. I think it's only 3 or 4 years between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, so he is obviously a very quick study. And it's kind of vague about what happened between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. But I'm sure there's people who know a lot more about the Star Wars lore than I do. Just taking a look at Luke, of course, he has his green lightsaber, which is the one he built. The first lightsaber he's built for completing his Jedi skills. I like the hair, the way it's done. It's kind of smooth and all kind of sloped off to the right. At least most of it. In the back, it's kind of sloped both ways. But he's got a part here. Of course, his hands here, he's got this flesh-colored hand here, and as you'll see on the other side, he has a black hand because he wore a glove over his robot hand. And then there's kind of a flare out of the hair in the back. There's a hint of a brown belt going around the figure. And of course, here is his gloved hand, or his mechanical hand, holding his lightsaber. So there's a printed piece here with kind of that fold in his robe or shirt that he's wearing. He's got the half rounds here for kind of a belt. Let's move on to the next figure. Next up we have R2-D2, and I thought they did a really nice job with this metallic silver for the accents around R2. A really good print here for the front of R2-D2. I like the use of the little eye, the regular BrickHeadz eye here, and there's a trans red piece, and then one of these post pieces to kind of make up the front of R2. I think the legs turned out really nicely too, how they are connected in there and rounded on top. The little grill pieces are used here as well. Lots of this really nice metallic silver, including this dish piece. But you can see it's very shiny and bright, along with the blue, dark blue quarter rounds really finish out the look for R2-D2. Looking around the side, you see these printed pieces here, tiles. There's a 1x3 in the silver, and then a 1x3 with the blue and silver printing. So it's another silver with a blue print on top of it. Thought it turned out really well. These are both sides of the same, so there's two of each of these pieces. There's two of these pieces, and I think four of these pieces. Like I said, the legs turned out very nicely with they're using that a 1x3 sloped piece here, and then they're connecting that into a snot brick here. White tiles, of course, for the body of R2. Oh, I was wrong. There are three of these, so there's one on each of the three sides here. So three of these printed pieces and three of the non-printed silver 1x3s. Again, the legs there. Overall, a really nice look for R2-D2. Next up, we have Lando Calrissian, the lovable gambler and con artist. And here he is with it. I love the mustache print here, the BrickHeadz eyes. He's got another print on the front here for his shirt. The front has a printed 1x3 brick with that kind of sash going on, he's got like a strap going across here holding on this. He's got a little badge there. I think the coloring looks really good as far as the blue pants and the kind of nougat shirt here. Of course, Lando never went anywhere without wearing a very nice cape. Here is the hair is built up nicely, kind of like peaked up in the front, and then it kind of slopes down in the back. A little rough. I always like the hair builds here on these BrickHeadz. Of course, his hand and ears here. He's wearing this nice light blue robe, the good texturing on the back of the hair as well. I really liked how that turned out. And then both sides are pretty much the same, and they did do some stud on the side building here to flare out that side of his robe that he's wearing. Overall, another very nice figure representing Lando Calrissian. Next up, we have Wicket, who is one of the Ewoks, and of course they wear these kind of hoods over there and kind of just draped over them. You can see his ears peeking out here on the side. It's going to be adjusted a little bit. There's a print here for his belly, as you can see. I kind of like the use of this orange color, kind of this burnt orange color, I guess. I'll have to look up the actual color name. Maybe I'll put that up in the corner for you. He's got the 1x1 clip piece as a hand instead of the 1x2 clip piece you normally see on BrickHeadz. But that's, I think, fairly common for these smaller ones. You can see the ears are built up here with these 1x1 slopes. Actually, this is the 1x2 brick with the slope on it, and then that's a cheese wedge there making up the ears on both sides. Good rounding here done with the cheese wedges and slopes for that hood that he's wearing. And of course there's a little sloped brick here, sloped plate here to represent like the sash that goes down around. You see there's a sloped. You You see he's got a slope brick underneath where his mouth is, and then this one on the side to kind of show the wrapping around his neck, I suppose. So a very nice Ewok here, also done in this BrickHead form. And finally we have Princess Leia. She, of course, is in her forest uniform. I think they did a really good job in creating that kind of green helmet that they were wearing. Kind of really flat on top and then rounded around the outside. Made for a good look. She's wearing, of course, all these different shades of green. She's got a belt here with a bunch of equipment on it. There's the kind of the bill of the cap. I think they did a really good job building all that. You can see the ear covers and everything on the cap. You see she's carrying that cookie. Do you remember that probably is in a reference to the scene where she first ran into Wicket and shared some rations with him? So that is a good callback there. You can see there's a kind of little representation of a hood with these built up slopes here and that sloped plate there. So again, you can just barely see kind of most of her hair is covered up, of course, by the helmet. So not quite the complex hair build we're used to seeing with BrickHeadz, particularly the female ones. But overall, I think it's a really good look, and it definitely represents the uniform that these characters wore while they were on the Endor moon. Let's go back and I'll give you my final thoughts on the set. So here are all 5 grouped together. So Luke, actually probably my favorite of these 5 is probably R2-D2. I just love the silver that is done on there. The printing is just spot on and it just really looks like R2-D2. A little blocky, of course, but that's what you get most of the time with Lego, so that doesn't bother me too much. I would have liked to have seen all of the characters from the Endor moon, maybe in 2 sets, because there were essentially 6 primary characters that were on the moon, which include Luke, Leia, R2-D2, C-3PO, Han, and Chewie. So those 6 would have been really nice. Maybe 2 3-packs or something like that would have been fun. But regardless, I'm not disappointed in these characters. Like Lando, even though he was of course there at the Battle of Endor, but he was in the space at the time. Would have been fun to get his co-pilot, and I can't remember his name. Probably hard to put that character in a BrickHead form. Regardless, overall a very good set. Like I said, when I alluded to the value at the beginning, this set includes 2 half-size figures. So when you used to see these 2-packs, like if you would have gotten R2 and Luke in a pack, it would have cost you $15 per normally. So $10 a BrickHead has been the price throughout the time that BrickHeads have been out. So they've been very consistent on that. I think $40 with 3 full-size BrickHeads and then 2 half-size BrickHeads is spot on with the pricing they've done. You get a lot of pieces, and in this case, a lot of really cool pieces, and those bright silver prints, those bright silver tiles, the various prints that you get here, and I really like those kind of burnt orange pieces you see here on the Ewok Wicket. Overall, great value. I still think BrickHeadz are a wonderful display piece, and I love that they continually are coming out with new sets. So I hope you've enjoyed my thoughts on this BrickHead set, and we'll get started on my next video. And until then, happy building. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe to see more of my reviews. I've left a link to my BrickHeadz review playlist up here on the screen.